Oh, it's home day. Here's one that scares a lot of people. Lots of color, lots of pattern. What do? We all know it's in style to use a lot of that all together. So we're going to have a big lesson right now by Shai DeLuca-Tamasi to teach us how to deal with all that color and all that pattern we see on the market now. And there's something so appealing about color, and it really does show your personality, but how do you use it all together?
Well, I find that people used to be really afraid to use color, especially in interior design. Yeah. And now we're a lot more liberated, a lot more open to using color. And the one thing about interior design is, we've heard this before, fashion dictates what we see in interior design. So usually what we'll see on a runway in one season, the next season, we'll start to see in homewares. Right. But if we're smart, and we watch runway shows, we're going to see what's actually coming out, and we'll be able to actually start buying that before the big manufacturers start making the product and getting those big prices out there. So we're a little bit of ahead of our time, avant-garde. These fabulous pieces I brought from the Textile Museum is now having an exhibit, a Mary Mecco exhibit. And Mary Mecco is the best, in my opinion, the best brand that really shows how to mix color and pattern well. They've been doing it forever, and they're such a perfect brand to do it. So, you know, we see here, these are from the 1960s. So think back, you know, 1960s, it was fun. There was a lot of that.
Free love, baby.
Free love, free love. These say
right.
free love, especially this one. They say free love. Absolutely, love it, love it. So, you know, this is kind of our jumping off point to see how we're able to then introduce these patterns and mixing patterns that they've done so well, like you see in, you know, it's almost like a caftan. Yes. And the way that they've done it, perfect. So I want to go over to the fabrics that we have at the table over there, and we'll be able to kind of look at the different types of fabrics and see.
So big and bold, we know Mary Mecco does very well.
Yes.
And can you just tell us a little bit more? Mary Mecco is a brand, is a designer, how would you describe Mary Mecco?
Mary Mecco is a brand, is a designer as well. So Mary Mecco is actually Finnish, from Finland. Started in the early part of the not early part of the 1900s, probably 1940s, 50s.
Okay.
We're very popular. Mary Mecco is actually a Finnish name, so it means Mary's dress in Finnish. Mecco means dress in Finnish. We've learned a word in Finnish now.
I learned a
so
little
Mary,
something.
Yes. So
and now we're going to do some mime.
We're going to do
How
some.
come we're wearing these?
Well, these are all original fabrics from the Helga and Janis Kravis collection.
Okay.
So we want to touch it with our gloves. You know, we don't want to leave our prints on.
It's very precious.
They were exactly. They were nice to lend them to us. So looking at all the different colors, the beautiful colors and the different patterns that they have.
I love
Isn't that great?
This is incredible. Do you remember a time in fashion where if you wore red and pink, people would no longer speak to you?
Right?
Yeah,
Horrible.
that you were not supposed to do that, and now it's all about it.
And think that this is from the 60s, right? So this is back in the 60s. They were already starting to do this. So that's why I'm saying Mary Mecco is absolutely, and pushes forward. They were really kind of avant-garde when it came to doing what they do best.
Right. Very nice.
Love all the fabrics. They, you know, little hats. So and the reason that we're showing the fabrics is these are fashion fabrics.
That's nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Colorful.
Okay, so these are fashion fabrics, but we know it even goes beyond the clothing here.
It goes beyond. So this is, you know, the little frame of fashion, and we're moving into now household products. So
look at these.
They've put these punchy colors, these great patterns into household products, not only into pillows, but over there on the table we have, you know, some dishware, some beautiful glasses.
Yes.
Other, you know, these gorgeous fabrics also from EQ3. So EQ3 now has a store within store of Mary Mecco in Liberty Village. So they were kind enough to lend us these.
Very nice.
Thinking about what we can do with all these fabrics, we don't have to be so, you know, in framed, let's say. You can take fabrics and you can stretch them on canvas and make them into art. So
Very
what a fabulous
nice idea. Take a look at that. So did you make that yourself?
I did. And
well,
it took me 10 minutes.
Aren't you talented?
Well, it took me 10 minutes. You know, it's a fun, inexpensive way to do it. You don't have, you know, you can use any fabric that you have. Sharon Grech, who is a wonderful, wonderful designer on the show, has also a fabulous piece that she actually stretched on canvas.
Right.
Of, I believe it's a leopard or
is this it?
That's a Mary Mecco fabric.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
There,
isn't that fantastic? So it looks like a painting. You'd never know. And what a great way to introduce fabric and extra texture into a space. It's not just, you know, canvas, paint on canvas.
Yes. So most of us would look at this and we would say, okay, I can have maybe a couple of these pillows in my home, but no more. But we are going to talk about how you can mix more than just a couple of colors together and a couple of different fabrics or patterns. Before we get to that though, the Mary Mecco exhibit is on at the Textile Museum. That's happening until April 21st, and you can go see it or anything else at this museum this year because we have day passes for everyone in our audience. Go take advantage, learn about these incredible textiles and have some fun.
Yes. She can take her gloves off now.
I know that we're not using fabrics anymore, but I want to keep my gloves on.
So
it feels fun.
It's magical. It's magical. That's
and then
what
later
it is.
on, maybe I'll do a little
miming
right?
it.
Why not?
Okay,
so let's talk about this bed.
So
you've got several different things going on here,
Yes.
particularly with the cushions.
Right.
Right.
So let's talk about mixing patterns. Mixing pattern is a huge trend for 2013. So how do we do it correctly without being too busy too much? So you want to, your first pattern, you're going to, okay, let's start with, we want to choose odd numbers in patterns. Designers always talk about choosing 3s, 5s, 7s.
That's right.
And the reason being is that just looking at 3 paintings on the back wall here, we see that it frames the center one nicely. Visually, it gives us, it gives us a frame. And that's a great starting off point for anything that we're doing in interior design.
Okay, so you want an odd number? An
odd number.
Okay.
We're gonna do 3s, 5s. I think in a bedroom like this, 7 is gonna be a little bit like, too much.
Too much.
Yes, but 3 or 5 is a great number. 3 is probably best in a smaller space like this. So we started off with the Marimekko, bringing in the Marimekko linens. They're beautiful. And the key with the first pattern is you want it to be large enough. It's going to be, that's going to be your statement piece, and everything else is pretty much going to be based off of that.
Okay, so this is the starting point.
This is the starting point. We have the starting point. It's in a duvet cover. We have it in the sham as well.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Now, now we're going to get a little bit mathematical. So for all you math aficionados out there.
All right. This is where I take a nap?
This is where you take a nap. So the second pattern is going to be about 50% of the size. So we're looking at this pattern here. It's going to be about 50% of the size if we were to, cut out a square of the pattern here.
Okay.
And we want it to be in a similar or same tone as one of the colors in the first pattern. So we have this chartreuse color here.
Yes.
We've introduced it. Now the other thing is you want to keep in mind is that this is a floral. So your second pattern, try to do something that's exactly the opposite, like a geometric.
Like a geometric.
So we have a geometric here.
Okay. So you've got the continuity because you've picked a color out of here for your next, but your pattern must be much bigger. Smaller.
It's going to be small. Your second pattern is going to be smaller
pattern, and it's going to be something very different.
Very different.
Pattern.
So if you have a floral, geometric, if you have a geometric.
This is why all these designers make it work. This is the math that there's algorithms at
People
play.
think we just make things pretty.
I know.
Yes, no. For your third pattern, you again
want to go
on
a limb on this one.
A little on a limb. We're going to go a little bit smaller than the overall pattern here. So not half, maybe let's say 2/3 of the pattern that we have in here, and use a contrasting color. This is where the visual interest comes in.
Very nice.
So purples and lilacs work great with greens and chartreuses. All these things are on are going to be on the website.
Yes.
I know that we're kind of running short on time, so.
Yeah, we are, and you know what? I'm happy you said that.
Yes.
We are going to put all of Shai's tips, and they're excellent tips on color and pattern on our website. That is cityline.ca if you want to see it.